Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
You will bring the jury.
By gosh, make them work for it. By gosh, go down and fight them. You especially won't go to court if it's bullshit charges because you get them thrown out.
All right. We need to, oh my goodness, we need to, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. I have to say, we have to turn this down just for a minute. We have to unceremoniously dump the music before it's done. Because, okay, we'll turn this down right here. Let me pause that. Okay, we have this to announce right here. This is a special breaking right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from lunch. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I'm the Recovery Addict. We have a verdict in the Jennifer Crumbley trial. Crumbley, sorry, helps if I say her name right. After 6 hours and 66 minutes, yes, you heard that, 6 hours and 66 minutes of deliberation, the jury has reached a verdict. Or sorry, 666 minutes. I get that wrong. Music is way loud. Oh my goodness, my ears. I apologize. 10 hours, 66 minutes. That means 11 hours and 6 minutes. We got 666. I don't know why. It just happened. Okay, I'm sorry. I heard there was a verdict. I stopped the timer. That's what it said. But we have reached a verdict. We expect in the next few minutes that the court personnel are going to file into the courtroom, followed by all the lawyers from both sides, as the jury has been able to reach a verdict. Now, this generally, when we know there's a verdict, it's different from when the jury just has an announcement to say we're hung. So we think that there's going to be a unanimous decision here. That's what our money's on right now, which means we'll get a guilty or not guilty. Which is going to be incredibly interesting, and you know, half of us will be disappointed, one way or another. So, either way, where this goes, I appreciate everyone being patient with us as we get set. Let me see. We'll turn this on really quickly. We do have breaking news. A verdict is reached. It was just announced a minute ago. We're seeing the door here, so we're waiting for people to file in. The jury's not going to be shown, but there are some court personnel that will be coming in, possibly some attorneys through that door as well. Oh, my goodness. 11 hours and 6 minutes, roughly, is my count. So I came to 666. I did not try to stop it there. I promise. Wow. This is intense. This is intense. Every time we leave, we get a verdict. Brianna, I need to start leaving sooner. It could save us all so much time. We could have had the whole afternoon off to do with it whatever we wanted. Welcome, Polly Claire. Welcome to the gallery. Thanks for your continued support. That's at least 3 months of support right there. Cindy Collins gifted 5 memberships to get things kicked off. And Bug Duggar followed up with another 5. Thank you very much. And also, New Bunk Foss. This is Recovery Addict. I'm nervous about this one. I don't know why. Maybe because it could be any parent going forward if she's found guilty. Thank you, Newbunk Foss, for that. Also, I missed this one, but I have to call this out. Ashley, thank you for being first in chat. First in chat every time we go live receives the internet as an award, because you have won previously many times. So we're going to send it to you with internet ownership, Ashley. Please just keep it up. Keep it working. That's the captain right there, the bailiff captain, just coming through the door. Although I'm not sure if she stays outside. Okay. They're in charge of the courthouse security, so that's a good sign as they're all getting positioned right now. Stacy Cole, welcome to the gallery. Thank you. I've got a cable stuck to my foot. has one of those built-in like cable wraps, and I'm wearing socks because I don't wear shoes when I'm live streaming because they're just not comfortable. And the cable was stuck to my foot, and I couldn't get it off. Stacy Cole, thank you very much. Welcome to the gallery. Also, a big 2 months of support from Silky Mom. Final poll. Last chance to change your mind. We can do that. We can do one final poll. We're going to say... what result will the jury return? Because there still is technically a possibility for a hung jury here in case they got the note wrong. But we only have 3 options because the jury is coming back with a result. So it's going to be not guilty, guilty. We always put not guilty first because there's a presumption of innocence. And then the last option is going to be hung jury. And if you were watching Peter Tragos, he might have enlightened you a little bit with how often, we'll start the poll going right now, that's up. How often hung jury happens is not very often. It's not. We've had a few of them. But Silky Mom, great suggestion on the poll. We've got that up right now. Lady Draconis, great friend of the channel. I actually, she helped me out as a mod over on the Top Mark Media side. Unceremoniously just dubbed her a mod without warning her. Also a wonderful mod for our friend Rob up at Lawn Lumber. Good to have you here. Thank you for the gifted 5 memberships as well. Polly Claire, I messed up my membership. Realized and fixed. Here since my Lawn Lumber. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wee Child, member for 6 months, says a lot of new laws are being written right now. Thanks for membership. Rachel Rossetti, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much for your continued support. And Sweet Tat, nail biter for sure. This is precedent. 1 month support. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. The gag order, great question. I saw that just scroll by here. I'm just saying, says, do you think the gag order will not apply to the jury? I think it won't. I don't think the judge can order the jury once they're released from this to not talk about the case, specifically because the jury has only seen things that we have all seen. The gag order is preventing the lawyers and the prosecutors and the defendant from talking about things that aren't coming up in court, the outside stuff. But the stuff that we've all seen, I mean, everyone's seen. What could the jurors tell us that we haven't seen already? So I don't think it would apply to them. But we'll see. The judge is going to give them instructions at the end if they're released as well. My Cat Merp says, I'm nervous as I was for Rittenhouse. That verdict time is kind of creepy. It can't be hung if a verdict is reached. I agree, Christy, but sometimes juries get it wrong. I realize that a lot of the jurors might be jurors for the first time, and in their minds they might think we've reached a decision, we're hung. And so if the note they've handed the bailiff is not correct, who did that timing perfectly with me? That was amazing. If the note has a mistake in it, that could cause a problem. So I'm leaving that option open because we're not positive that there's, that we've got a verdict. There's our prosecutors coming in now, the full team, shaking hands with the bailiff for good luck, I guess. But you're right. But if a verdict is reached, then it has to be guilty or not guilty. Shannon looks nervous over there, arms folded. I don't know, 11 hours of deliberation. That's quite a bit. Oh, okay. Crystal Ray says, woohoo, here we go, ladies and gents. It is verdict time. We're so excited about this. I think not that we're cheering for someone to get sentenced or that we want to thumb our nose at one side or the other, but it's an emotional roller coaster to sit through a trial, even when you're not personally connected to, and it's closure. It's closure for a lot of us that we can see the conclusion and see the process carried out. Stacy Stevens says, so glad to be here. Thank you very much for your 3 months of support, Stacy. Appreciate that. Judy D says, yay, I'm not gray anymore. So happy to be at the place on YouTube. Love it here. Thank you very much, Stacy. Appreciate you. It's a bad sign that it ended on 666 minutes. Let's see. The other courts have the time of 10 hours, 46 minutes, and 11 seconds. There's our captain. There's a court, I think that's court staff. She's the assistant for the judge. I have to say, I have to thank all of you who texted me. And my son was looking at my phone. He's like, Dad, holy cow. My phone was just going buzz, 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 as everyone was saying, verdict reach, verdict reach. This is not a drill. There's a verdict. I think there's a verdict. Have you seen? There's something happening in the court. I've got about 200 messages all at once, as you guys all kept me up to date. And I loved it. I loved it for two reasons. First, thank you for letting me know. Because a lot of times when something big and breaking is happening, I'm not the first person to see it. And you guys sharing that with me helps the channel be able to share that with everyone else so we can sort of watch it in real time. The other thing is that I forget what it was. I appreciate you being willing to share with me. That's I forget what the other thing was. There were two, and it was but thank you either way. House Music gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, House Music. Thanks for your generosity. A lot of people who were in gray before are now becoming green. So if let's see, if the other channels have it at 10 hours 46 minutes, that would put us 20 minutes ahead. So and that could have been accrued over several days. So that's pretty close. Realize we started the timer as soon as the judge told them they could deliberate, not necessarily when the instructions went back into the jury room. Change the clock by a few minutes, please. Let me go back to our counter. Does that work? Slide this down over here, cut it down. There's still a chance that the defense attorney comes in with a couple more sorries for us. So we'll keep this on. Cut the top down a tiny bit. Bring the left in. There we go. There's our sorry, not sorry counter. We're up to 252 in this trial, including the 2 that happened, I believe, yesterday. Let's see. Let me pin this message. Sorry, I missed that one. Man, the chat is going so fast, it's hard to pin a message. There it is. All right. We're going to go ahead and close the poll out here. We've had about 2,350 people vote. So we'll give you just a minute as a few more votes are coming in. It's just a question of what result will the jury return? Not guilty, guilty, or hung jury. Currently, we're leaning not guilty. But let's see. 2,400 votes. Another 30 just came in. 2,460. I realize some of you are on devices that don't allow you to vote. Some television things, it doesn't work very well. There's the defendant. She's going to be coming in. Once she's here, the judge should be notified. So this should happen just in moments. Let me get some audio for you. Just 1 second. Shannon appears to be calming her a little bit. That's got to be nerve-wracking. Okay, 2,600 votes here. We're going to go ahead and end the poll at that. Looks like we have... It's going so fast. Where did the results go? Guys, the results are gone. Oh, there they are. We have not guilty 53%, guilty 32%, hung jury 14%. And of course, YouTube loses a percentage. Okay. It's silent in the courtroom. It's the quietest I've ever heard with the audio turned on. 14% need to vote again, says Kelsey. In some people's mind, 53% need to vote again. But yes, appreciate that. A lot of people saying, I'm glad this is over, but at the same time, nervous for a result. Everyone's deep breathing. No spoilers. Nobody knows the verdict yet. Even the judge at this point is not aware of the verdict. What's going to happen is the jury is going to be brought in. The judge will formally ask them if they reach the verdict. They'll present that through the bailiff to the judge. It'll be handed to the judge to review for completeness, just to make sure the form was properly completed. We have seen times when it was not completed properly. The jury had to go back and work the paperwork one more time to check the right boxes, meaning they left some blank that they had to fill out a selection on. I think that was in Darrell Brooks, if I remember right. They made a mistake. But once the judge reviews it, either the judge or the court clerk will read the verdict. We do then expect that if it's a guilty, that the defense will ask for the jurors to be polled, which means the judge or the clerk will ask each of the jurors if that is their verdict. And the actual polling language changes. Sometimes it's a little more lengthy. Sometimes it's just a yes, 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 like a roll call vote. And from there, the process can take a couple turns. So nobody knows the verdict right now except the jurors, not even the bailiff.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Shirley Matthews presiding.
Apparently they have something they want
Your
to
Honor,
do.
calling People v. Jennifer Crumbley, case number 22279-990, FH.
Good afternoon, Karen McDonald on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Mark East on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, I'm Shannon Smith on behalf of Jennifer Crumbley, who sits to my left.
All right, are you ready for the jury?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to ask when the jury reads their verdict. After that, I want everyone to remain seated. All right.
There are going to be a lot of bailiffs in the courtroom for this.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I really want the audience to stay seated after when the verdict's read and after that. And after that.
It doesn't matter.
She can stay if she wants. It's
Okay.
up to her.
Do you want this to
All rise for the jury.
The jury's filing in for the last time. They've completed their service at the end of today.
Good afternoon, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been informed that you have a verdict. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you the correct person?
I am.
Could you please read your verdict?
Individually?
Sure.
Okay. On count 1 of involuntary manslaughter as to Madison Baldwin, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 2 of involuntary manslaughter in regards to Tate Muir, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 3 as to involuntary manslaughter regarding Hannah St. Juliana, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And in count 4 of involuntary manslaughter against Justin Schilling, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Thank you, for a woman. You can be seated. And I'm going to ask Ms. Foley to poll the jury.
Juror in seat number 1, was that and is that your verdict?
It is.
Juror in seat number 2, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 3, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 5, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 6, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 7, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 8, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 11, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 12, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 13, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror in seat number 14, was that and is that your verdict?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that this is one of the hardest things you've ever done. I'm going to ask you to return to the jury room. The two remaining alternates are also going to join you, and I'll be with you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All rise for the jury.
All right, you may be seated. Time is we vote, and I'm considering April 9th at 9 o'clock in the morning for sentencing effect.
April 9th, 9 a.m. for
That should be
sentencing.
fine, Judge. Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
April 9th at 9 o'clock is fine, thank you.
All right. I'm going to ask that everyone remain seated while the defendant is taken out of the courtroom. Right?
All rise. You may be seated.
The judge just said, I'm asking that everyone be seated, remain seated while the defendant's taken out. And then they said, all rise. And that's it. It's over. The judge is left. There may be a brief interaction between the prosecution and some of the family members of the victims. So Shannon's still at the table. I don't know what she's writing right here. But, wow. Okay. All right, there it is. That is the verdict. They came back very forcefully with the verdict. And I predicted correctly regarding the woman who said, "Is that our decision?" The lady who was the foreperson on the jury was actually was the person we thought it was. I know that the media is trying to get interviews here, but they're not able to discuss anything with the prosecution about the case because of gag orders in place. They can't discuss anything with the defense because of gag orders in place. They'll only be able to talk to family members, I think, at this point, because the gag orders in place till after James' trial is over. Karen says, I wonder if James will plea deal now. I don't think they will, because I don't think they'll offer it. A plea deal is typically offered when you think that you're going to get that you can get a conviction, but you're not confident. The other side thinks they may be convicted, but there's a chance. That's the only reason to accept it is for that reason. So April 9th, they're going to have 9 a.m. There's going to be the sentencing, and we expect that the sentence can be up to 15 years. I think it's 5 to 15 years per charge, and whether or not they run concurrently or consecutively is probably the only remaining factor that has to be decided. Oh, wow. I think I've been saying that all along, is that I thought they'd be guilty, but still hearing it was sort of a shock for me. Even though I feel that it should have been not guilty. So once again, I was wrong, as I have been wrong many times as to what the jury is going to do. One Man Army says James is doomed now. Shared responsibility, right? Most likely. I find it hard to see James having the trial over the same charges and not come to the same conclusion. Yeah. Let's see. Now the 2 school officials who sent him back to the class should be criminally charged. I don't think they can be. I think they're exempt from that. The school will be civilly charged. April 9th for the sentence is what I heard the judge say. Trying to see what's up. But wow. All right. Crazy outcome there. I don't know what to say after that. That is. I'm sort of speechless at the same time. We saw exactly what we thought was going to happen. I'll repin a new message here for you, so that those that are coming in. Thank you, Amber, for that. Melanie says, I hate it when the jury gets it wrong. Guilty on all counts. Yes. Josie says, I think they have convicted her on what the prosecution have presented as her character, i.e. not spending time with him as a mother. It'll be interesting if the jury speaks and talks about this. I'm very, very curious if they do, if they talk about that. I'd like to hear what it was for them that was the deciding factor. Floppy Jan says, this sets a precedent. I hope the judge gives her probation if that's possible. I think there's a minimum of 5 years on these. I think it's a minimum. Of course, time served will be a factor. But words fail, says Carol O'Neill. Katie 12 says, jury got it right. Jury got it right on this one. A lot of people have some strong feelings regarding that. So appreciate that, Katie. It's hard to know what to say. It is, Georgia. It is hard. You know, I want to know. Here's my question. I want to know what the jury thought. What it was that they thought that made the connection for them. Because I thought through what I like to think was the same data, and I didn't reach the same conclusion. It doesn't mean they're wrong and that I'm right, but I do want to know what resonated to them and how as they went through those jury instructions and looked at what was laid out before them, what they needed to do. How they checked those boxes, how they looked at the evidence and matched things up. Do we know when James goes to trial? Yes, he goes to trial on March 5th, I believe. Selena K says jury got it right. More they got it right. Yeah, there's a lot of people. I think I'll tell you this. Every time we do a poll and there's a majority of people at one point that lean one way, those in the minority get sort of quiet in chat. And I wish that didn't happen. Because it goes, I think sometimes it makes the poll inappropriately represented. It's not accurate because people say I don't want to speak out. I don't want to say my piece because I'm in the minority here. And I wish you would speak out because first of all you're welcome here, and I learn a lot from people that have an opposing opinion. So it's skewed. Yes, skewed is the right word. Let's see. Mike T says, I can't believe people still won't accept this. Children are more important than you always. Skylar says, I don't know what to think. I feel for parents today. I'm at a loss, says Bobby Graham. I was hopeful and I figured it would be guilty, but darn. 5 to 15 years per charge. I honestly believe it was the math worksheet and that they didn't take him home that day, says Donna Adams. Mrs. Saber says, chat, the reason they found her guilty is because she didn't take him home. She, as the parent, had the final say and didn't act. I'm torn on that. We can take a few calls here if you'd like. Let me see if I can get everything connected.
Call from Meanie Banana.
Hey, Meanie Banana. Good to talk to you again. How are you doing? What are your thoughts on the verdict here?
I'm shocked. I don't know how they could have come to that decision. I know a lot of people are happy, but if they had to change a venue and went somewhere else. I'm wondering if the verdict would have been the same because of all the pressure in the community.
Yeah. We have heard from several people in the community that pressure is real, and they're saying there's no way there's going to be anything but a guilty because of the social pressure out there. But I've got to believe that the jury did the right thing. I have this innate trust in the system, right? that the process works. And sometimes
I try to.
Yeah.
But this blows me away. This is wow.
It's obviously there's still a chance for appeal, but as Ian Runkle said the other day, appeals are for losers, right? It's tough to fight the appeal battle. That's a harder road to win than the trial itself. But
yeah,
thank you.
It is what it is, but yeah, okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the call. Thank you, Meaty Banana.
Sure.
Bye. We're going to try to go through these calls pretty quickly. Mike, this is Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just realized that one of our members has a inappropriate name, and I've had the name up on the screen for a long time. I apologize.
Not a problem.
Hugh, change your name. Hugh, change your name. You know what you're doing.
Well, I kind of feel the same way that you do as far as like kind of being speechless, but I'm, watching the whole thing, I was leaning that she was going to be innocent, but I'm looking at it different. I'm a father, 57, my daughter's 27, did the whole thing, checking on her and everything, and it worked out great. She ended up being a doctor, and I pat myself on the back for that. But
good work. Yeah.
What I see is, what is this going to do for the parents in the future? Because the kid was charged as an adult, and now she could get sentenced. So does that mean if, for me, I'm 57, my daughter robs something, can it be on me? Where does it stop and start?
Well, I think the charge as an adult, I don't think applies because the cases are separate.
Okay.
It's a hard thing because I'm frustrated that the state can say two different things about the same crime. I wish that the prosecution had to say, this is our truth and we're sticking with it. We believe that that the shooter is the one responsible, and they've got evidence that he was the only one responsible. And now they're basically saying, and now we believe that his mom was the one that was responsible. And then in the next trial, this all happened because his dad bought him the gun. It doesn't sit right with me that the story changes.
It doesn't
to change.
It doesn't for me either. And I've come from families and stuff where, back when I was a kid, things were definitely different. But we had guns in our trucks and our cars that we hunted with, and I've shot a gun since I was like 8 years old. So I see the point of it. Them, buying the gun and all that. Maybe things are different today, obviously, but I blame the school a little bit more than I do the parent because they're the ones that have the training for this, and I felt that they did see enough, but I could carry on and on about it, but that's just my feelings.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you very much. Thanks for the call.
Hey, thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, we've got a couple super chats here I want to read really quickly. My cat says, I feel like our society goes to extremes and we are swinging to one extreme currently. Hopefully we'll come back to center. We've got another one here from Happenings at Lamgo Farms. My heart isn't with these parents. I've lost a young son. It was the most horrible club. It is the most horrible club. And to those who lose a child to violence is even beyond my grief. Amber C. says, thank you for covering this trial. Thank you, Amber. I appreciate you being here. Selena K., the jury got it right. We have Roddy Lover, just a super chat. Thank you, Roddy Lover. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your support. Tamara Curran says, thank you for your coverage of this difficult case. Thank you, Tamara, for being here. I appreciate that. Melissa Smith says, if Jennifer is being held responsible, logically, Ethan should be released. It's insane. Yeah, the fact that these are all are all treated separately. It's hard. I want to look at the whole thing together and see the whole picture and say it doesn't make sense if the way you've drawn the picture. Okay, my phone is going nuts. All right, and thank you, Melissa, for the super chat as well. Appreciate that. I'm curious. I wish I knew what Shannon's thoughts were as she's sitting there writing there in the end of the trial. Hey, Ivan. This is Scott. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing well.
Just wanted to thank everybody quick for sending messages since I've been absent. Some stuff with my eyes going on. I had to get them blasted with iodine today, and so I'm walking around like a raccoon. Yeah, I started getting
That's
blurry
always
vision for
fun.
some reason.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm like a raccoon right now.
Send pictures. We promise not to post them all over the internet.
yeah. I just kind of wanted to just talk about the sentence and just give my opinion on that. I think now that we've gotten here, I do feel more comfortable with the judge, even though she's been less than, she's been less than a lot of things. Certainly not engaging or, by the book or how we're used to anyway. But what I would say is I feel more comfortable with her handling the sentence than the jury because, even though there's a 10-year window there, and with her 2 years or plus that she has in, right? That we're at. So if she gets the minimum, she'll be out in less than 3. And that's not even factoring if they have any good behavior or parole or whatever they have there. I don't know. But
yeah.
So, I mean, just for some perspective on that, but I don't know that I'd want an emotional jury deciding a sentence for a case that was so up in the air anyway.
I'll tell you this. I've never heard a jury where as many members were so their voice was so confident and forceful in the polling. Like,
right.
Yes.
Right.
I've never that. Did you guys get that feel, or is it just because I was on the losing end? Are you guys saying I'm oversensitive? Because it just felt like a couple of them were just they were like, yeah.
I was right there with you, and so that's what sort of prompted my inquiry as to who is going to be deciding the sentence. And so anytime I feel unless it's a case that involves life without parole or a death sentence, I feel like it should be up to the judge. And it seems to be that's how it is there, because otherwise you start getting into revenge and pounds of flesh and all that, and then once that enters, it's there is no justice. So, but anyway, I'll let you fly, guys.
Thank you, Ivan. Appreciate it. We'll see you, man.
Yep, love you.
Bye. All right. Thank you. I'm trying to read these and show them all. We've got a lot of messages. Use my free 4-month chat to say I think it was an emotional decision, not one based on evidence, in my opinion. Either way, it's a hard day for everyone involved. Kate, I feel that. It's a hard day for the families that lost kids. I mean, there's never an easy day, and every day that this drags on is harder and harder.
Call from.
My free 4-month chat to say I think. Hey, this is Scott. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Who am I speaking with?
This is Marilyn.
Hey, Marilyn.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm going on 63. I've raised my kids, and I'm so concerned about the future generations. What does this, my kids, my grandkids, what does this mean for them?
Yeah. The thing that doesn't sit, and let me sort of pick on Jen Conley here. First of all, Jen, thanks for your comment. Let me answer the question in the super chat that concerns me.
Yeah, go ahead.
She says they left it unlocked for him to get. That is why. I wholeheartedly believe that parents should not leave firearms unlocked. That there is a moral responsibility for them to secure them and make sure all firearms in the home, whoever they are, need to be locked up when kids are around. The two don't go together. Guns and kids, free access to guns. It's not a good thing. My problem is, I'm also a firm believer in upholding the law, and there was no law in Michigan that said that was wrong. Now, morally, it's wrong. It's reprehensible, right? But we can't convict somebody because we don't like what they did. If it's not against the law, I can't get there on them leaving a gun unlocked, which, there's arguments that may have been locked up or not. I think odds are it was not locked up, right? If I had to flip a coin and look at this. Sure. But if the law isn't there, I can't say you're guilty because you did something that was legal.
Yeah, I really thought this would be hung, because polls and everything that we do on these, I really thought, no.
Yep, interesting.
Like, my only concern is that, like, you know, what about my kids and my grandchildren? Are they going to have to now, you know, be convicted? That scares me. Scares me. I made it through mine, but
I think if this does become a slippery slope, it won't be just because of this case. I think it will be laws will start to be written that make this more of the norm. I don't think that, you know, this one case or, you know, the handful of cases that we've had this sort of conviction in will be the reason this goes this route. But I think we'll start seeing legislation that will start holding people accountable for failure to do something.
right. Like, I don't like guns. You know, I'm like totally on the Second Amendment thing. But when I hold a gun, I start shaking. You know, I'm just terrified. Like heights, same thing. Put a gun in my hand, I'll shake. Yeah. But you know, it's
all right.
Oh my God,
crazy. I've got a lot to think through now. But thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you. Bye. Let's see. I think the jury may have been so empathetic in speaking their verdict because they were nervous. There was some considerable division before they finally clamped on a consensus. Great take on that, and that may be the case as well. Appreciate that.
Call from Marina.
Hey, Marina.
To accept, press 1.
Oops.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hang on one second. Hey, Marina, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it took a second. Let me read this. Angelique says, proud to be a Michigander today. Something had to change. We as parents have to do better for our children and communities. Thank you, Angelique. Appreciate sharing that. Okay, now I've already forgotten your name. One more time.
No worries, Marina.
Marina. Okay. Marina, what's on your mind?
I'm also a Michigander from the Metro Detroit area. Mm-hmm. And first of all, one thing I don't hear people talking about, after this school shooting, Michigan did pass a law. Obviously, it doesn't help for this case, but we now have a law that penalizes storing firearms without locking them when they can be accessed by a minor.
Right.
It
was passed just because of this situation, I believe.
Yes. I think while I disagree with the jury's verdict, I think the gun being accessible and the fact that the parents were fleeing were the two really big things. But I also think the defense really detracted from their argument with all of the shenanigans they did.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. Your lawyer might have made you lose the trial. Is that the argument?
Yeah, like they had a really solid legal case, but then she's talking about YouTube making fun of her and this and that, and if I were a juror and I didn't have like a solid understanding of the law in this, I would probably be really turned off by everything the defense did in this case, even though I agree with the defense's position.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan. I like spicy argument between the lawyers. I like to see people, very strongly advocate for their cause, for their side. I'm not huge in the drama.
There's a difference between drama and circus,
right.
And I feel like this was kind of a circus.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway,
thank you.
Thank you very much, Melina. Appreciate is it Melina or Melinda?
Marina.
Marina. My ears are broken. Sorry. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it from the insider's perspective up there in Michigan. Thank you for the call.
Bye.
Bye.
Call from
Connor.
Hey, Connor, hold on just 1 second. Lenova says, if it fit the description of the charges the judge read for the jury, however, there wasn't enough evidence of where and how the gun was stored. Connor, what are your thoughts today?
Actually, wanted to get your opinion on something.
Sure.
How do you think it would differ in this situation if it was like a sibling who took over custody because your parents passed?
I think for legal purposes, if it was legal custody, I think it would be the same. The sibling to take legal custody, they're going to have to be an adult, right? The court's not going to grant legal custody to another juvenile, so I think it would just be a transfer of that full legal custody. I think my impression would be that the same charges had the situation played out with those events.
Do you think the jury would take further consideration in? I don't know how to word it.
That's a great question. They might, because that situation clearly, it's not the optimum situation where, for whatever reason, the parents are out of the picture, where there was a tragedy and they passed away, or there was legal issues and the court removed their custodial rights. Either way, there might be sympathy there to the situation that might play better with a jury than what we had here.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I just wanted your thoughts on it.
Great question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll see you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Amy Lee says, for the people feeling bad for JC, please remember she still has a child. The victims are no longer here through Jennifer's neglect and purchasing the gun. Or James's neglect and purchase of the gun. Andrew James says, great coverage as always. Terrible verdict. Andrew, not a fan of the verdict on that one. Let's see.
Call from Baby Shark.
Baby Shark?
Yes.
Baby Shark, how are you doing? This is Scott.
Hi, I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing just great. What's on your mind?
So I just see a lot of people in the chat who are, genuinely concerned about what's going to happen to parents, how are parents supposed to parent their kids. I kind of agree with you in that, it's kind of early to say that this is a slippery slope situation. In order for something like this to even be brought as a charge, there has to be extreme recklessness or negligence shown. And, to be frank, there's like a few hundred of these every year, mostly by minors. And it's been like this for decades. And this is really the first time that these charges have ever been brought. So, I don't know that this is a paradigm shift.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a rapid, this is not the turning point. This is not the first time a parent has been convicted for the actions of their child, especially involving a shooting. It's just the first time it's happened with a school shooting. And so it's this is not going to be the point where everything rotates and pivots around. But I think it's probably one of the more high profile instances of it, and it definitely could lead to lawmakers seeking to create laws that might make this more prevalent or make this more possible to charge, or make it easier for other crimes for parents to be charged in situations. But it's going to be gradual, and we as a society basically are going to have to let it happen if we want it to happen that way, or we're going to have to encourage it if we want it to happen that way. It's not just going to just be the natural result.
Yeah, and I think that, if you're concerned as a parent, and I'm not a parent, but I am an aunt. If you're concerned as a parent that, if your kid's going to do something horrible and you're going to end up going to prison for it, the question you have to ask is there something that you've done or failed to do that you think would rise to the level of the same kind of negligence that she's shown? Have your children said something that you didn't take seriously that maybe you follow up with your kid on? Check in with them, don't leave your guns lying.
A lot of people are looking the other way and saying, what if my kid does something, and then looking back, what would they pick out to say, hey, you were the cause, you were actually at fault here for not preventing this.
I could understand that.
How many of your kids have done something that's just like, just a crazy, stupid idea, luckily not badly, or luckily nobody got hurt. It could have ended so much worse. I mean, so many times we have situations where that could have been so bad. I mean, we flirted with disaster. If it just takes a tiny change in facts, and suddenly we might be in that same situation where our actions are going to be inspected. I'm not saying that we'd be charged, but our actions may be looked at by the police. And then we look back and say, what have I done, or what are my text messages, or what are my YouTube searches that they might look at and say, hey, clearly you could have stopped this.
Yeah, and I think, it's something that is a good point. I just think in this particular case, probably one of the things that was most impactful on the jury, and I go back and forth and have gone back and forth as to whether this really should have been an involuntary manslaughter charge rather than like a reckless endangerment charge or something lesser. But that wasn't my call. the things that I think that incensed me the most were the times that they could point to where he did tell her something was wrong, where the school did tell her something was wrong, and nothing was done, or something actively was done to discredit what their child was feeling and experiencing. So if your child is doing something, if they say something once, okay, whatever. But if they say something repeatedly, at a certain point, you're not just not catching something, you are willfully ignoring a potentiality, not necessarily to, do this, but to do any potentially bad.
Yeah. Great points. Thank you so much. Appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see.
Absolutely. Love your show.
Thank you. Bye.
Call from Nurse Nicole.
Nurse Nicole, this is Scott. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I don't know if you remember me, but I called a few days ago.
Your voice sounds familiar.
I'm sorry. I'm number one, a mom, as you told me, and have been a teacher for 10 years, and I'm a psychiatric adolescent specialized nurse. So I'm the one with a whole bundle
all
going
the
on.
Experience. You're busy.
Yes.
Busy.
So I will say that I agree with the verdict. And I also agree with what you had just said about people who feel as though they're in the minority not commenting or expressing it, because even with my stronger, this is what I had felt through the trial, it is kind of difficult when I felt like it was the minority in the group. And I was like, I don't know if I can say what, I feel like I'm not because of you. You're very open.
You're naturally hesitant to share something when there's, you know that it's not going to be well received by somebody. It's that hesitation's natural.
Right. And I do think also there's that component of, kind of different views of gun, protection and locking up, and that in different areas of the country. It varies a lot, where that is obviously a part of some people's, culture of where they live. And then for others, it's just a lot more foreign. So I think our own backgrounds also contribute to that. I also thought throughout it that the jury, because I watched a lot of law tubers analyzing this, and everyone that I had specifically watched had leaned towards this not being something legally that they supported in a way. I felt that from Law and Lumber and Kurt and Ian Runkle. I watched all the people because, and I saw you the other night. You were awesome.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun to be with them.
You were so fun to see. But I think that those of us who watch those things are a portion of the population that is interested in these things and want to be educated on it and want to learn as much. The general population, who is not law tube obsessed, probably don't have it. So the people that are watching these things and commenting are also a very specific portion of the overall population. It's not a clear, survey, I would say, of the general population. Yeah. So I think it's done correctly. I feel differently than a lot of other people of thinking that this is going to just be devastating for parenting per se. But I also, I can see the other side, and I think that's an important part, is having your view, but also being able to be open to other people's side. And I think a lot of people can sort of see both sides, even if they believe one side. At least I hope people can.
Great points. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Get back to work. You've got your hands full. So.
Yeah, I do. All right. Thank you so much.
We'll see you.
Okay,
bye.
Thanks.
I just missed a call from Diet Coke Mama. Give me a call back. I'd love to hear, or maybe let me call you. Hang on. Let me call you. Let's see if that works. Nope, that's not it. Let's see. calls are just flying in. Hang on. Call failed. Okay, let's see. It's not working. All right, I can't call back. You're gonna have to call me. I just cannot work my phone today. All right. Holy cow. It's not even ringing through right now. There's so many calls coming through. It's just telling me I'm missing them all. Let's try that again. Hey, is this Diet Coke Mama? Come on. Diet Coke Mama, are you there? I can't hear her. We broke the phone. You guys are breaking the burner phone. It says we're connected, but I just can't hear anything. We'll try again. We'll try some more. Sorry, I'm trying, guys. Here we go.
Call from Allie B from Tennessee. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press...
Allie B from Tennessee, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I just want to clear up what I said on my little sticker thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not a parent, number one, so I don't have the right to say what is a good parent, what is not. It's only from my observation just in the world in general, and then this trial specifically. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think that everyone needs to panic that, if your child misbehaves, that, you're going to go to jail. Or if your child gets caught with drugs, that you're going to go to jail because it's your fault. I think we need to think through, what really happened here. And I will say, I do think the charges are a little bit harsh. So I do agree on that. But I do think the neglect thing is huge. So that's all I'm saying is that no one needs to panic and think, oh gosh, now if my child does something wrong, I'm going to be looked at. I think it's more of, yes, be aware, maybe it's a wake up call to some parents, but, I believe most of the parents in here are probably paying attention to their children. The ones with guns, put them up correctly. It's just things like that. So that's all I was saying is that I do think, the punishment or the charge is a little bit harsh, but I think the situation was pretty rough, if that makes sense.
Allie B, thank you very much. Great comment. I appreciate it, and thanks for the super chat.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Call from.
Hey, Diet Coke Mama, how are you doing? This is Scott.
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing just great. What's on your mind?
Well, I do not love this whole verdict. It's not my favorite. And let me tell you why. I don't like that government is just reaching in a little bit more. And that is a problem for me. I think you can be a great parent, and I think you can have great children, and I think they can take anything out of context and make it look however they want, and that really bothers me.
I have to switch microphones because Mrs. R.A. joined me.
Oh, excellent.
Hey, I was just hearing you speak, so I missed part of it, but I heard the beginning.
She says she has a problem with how government is reaching into this, one more area of the life, and you can be great parents without government intervention.
Yeah. Well, and can you be a good parent here without government intervention? There's so much talk about, well, as long as you're just a good parent. I'm like, yeah? Who determines that? Who gets to decide what a good parent looks like?
Exactly. I mean, I think I'm a pretty good parent. I have some great kids. We don't have any problems. But, I always tell my children, and I did all growing up, that I was going to beat them with a stick. That was not a funny thing. And no one in government or probably even listening would think that was funny. But that's something we always laughed about.
Right. And that's
I
not
could
going to
see that
communicate itself.
taking a big turn if it was ever brought up in court.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody can be made to look like a really terrible parent. Everybody can. If you can, everybody can.
And I think one of the ways that you can probably visualize the concern that a lot of people are expressing here with this verdict is if you've ever had a child injure themselves, say like crash a bike, break an arm, fall off, hit their head, you immediately rush them to medical, you rush them to the doctor or the emergency room. Pay very close attention to the questions they start asking the kid.
Yeah, because they're asking about you,
and they're asking about, you know, do your parents hit you? You are the suspect from minute one when something goes wrong, and here you've basically got an extension of that where instead of the kid injuring themselves, they injured somebody else, and now you were the suspect.
Yeah. And there's no way to protect yourself. Like, what are you going to say? I'm a good parent? Well, not according to all these people who have taken a vote based on your couple of chats. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I know he fell out of a shopping cart, and I shouldn't have let him stand in the back of the shopping cart.
Yeah.
That was my fault. But I didn't know he'd jump over the edge when I was trying to grab his arm.
I know. And in hindsight, you're like, parent. I know. And it's really easy to look at this and feel like, oh, the world has gone mad. This is crazy. But I think on the other side of it, that people are scared that somebody mentioned how many years it's been since Columbine, and we are no closer to solving this than we were then. And I think this is just the next thing that people are like, well, if we can't solve it any ways that we've tried, let's try this way. And I think this is bonkers. This will not fix it. This will make it way worse. But I can see where they're coming from, that they're trying anything, everything. Because, man, nobody wants school shootings.
Yes, it is. It's horrible. This is terrible. You could see the writing on the wall, but you can't control people.
Yeah.
Even if they're your child. You cannot control another person. It's impossible.
And I don't know if you can always see the writing on the wall. The number of times that I'm surprised by what my kids do, and it seems completely logical to them. I'm like, what? How did you get to that conclusion? That was crazy.
Mm-hmm. And even if they had done everything right and gotten him counseling and taken him home, who's to say he wouldn't have done it in 2 or 3 days?
Yeah. I imagine he would have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dad Coke Mama, it's always great to hear you. Obviously, you're a good friend of Mrs. R.A. So great that we can get both of you on at the same time.
I know. I can get more passionate when we have less listeners, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.
That's all. Mrs. R.A. just wanted to say hi, I think. So that was it. Oh, now I'm in stereo. Is this any better if I get like 2 microphones? All right. This is a great question. Joni says, let me read this as the call comes in here. Oh, man. Come on. Now my phone's not working. It's not connecting. All right. Joni says, all right, my question is, are people upset with the verdict because of the precedent, or are you upset because you feel the state didn't prove their case? Can it be both, Joni? Can it be both? I don't think they did prove their case. For me, there wasn't a single area where there wasn't a reasonable doubt. I can't judge the text messages back and forth between their kids, knowing what I've heard from the defense, that to say that he was really calling out for help. He may have been laughing and joking. Let's see.
Call from Karen.
Hello, is this Karen?
This is Aaron.
Oh, Aaron, sorry. What's on your mind today, Aaron?
No, so I was turning my volume down, but the comment that was just shown about the precedent that are we upset over the precedent or over the state not proving this case? That was one of the things I wanted to talk about, because, there's nearly 4,000 people watching you right now. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to reach out to the lawmakers in our states and say that this is something that's concerning over the potential precedent that this case, may affect the laws in our state, or prosecutors prosecuting cases in our own state. So I think this is just an opportunity for us to really reflect on our feelings and use that for good.
I would go this far, and I know this sounds like it's counterproductive, but I would suggest, no matter which side you're on, whether you think that this was a victory or this was a huge loss, and that either way that you do that. I believe that the process of making laws, I mean, take the politicals out of it, but the process of making laws is better served when there's more involvement, when there's more communication, when there's more talking about it, there's more people involved, more eyes, more opinions shared. I think it makes it better. So if you think, hey, we need more of this, we need more parents held accountable, reach out, talk to people, talk to people who you've elected to represent you, whatever side they are. I don't care. And if you think, hey, this is wrong, we need to put a stop to this, reach out, talk to those same people and let them know. And it brings people together. Obviously, so this is a great time to do it because everyone's sharing the message at the same time. Lots of voices carry further than a silent, just one voice on its own. So this is a great time to share those feelings. That's about as political as I'll get, though, Aaron. So I've got to stop right there.
And I know you don't like, none of the Law 2 channels like to get political, but I think this is just a great opportunity to just say this is something that clearly there's people on both sides, and this is the perfect example of ways we can use our voice more than just in the voting booth to really try to make sure things don't make a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
Either way.
Aaron, thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate it. Very well said. Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's see. Does this pretty much confirm the father will be found guilty as well? Dudley, I would say yes. Now the new trial, the trial with the father is going to be a completely separate jury. I think it's also going to have a completely separate defense lawyer, so the defense tactics will be very different.
Dudley,
Hey, Jane, I'll need you to turn your volume down or it'll get really confusing.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. What's on your mind today, Jane?
Yes, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to call in and say that my whole reason for wanting to be interested in the case is because of school shootings.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we've had all of these school shootings in the United States, and I hope you're not going to be mad.
I'm not.
Okay, but
unless you get really political, so we might have to cut that.
No, sir, it's not political at all.
Yeah.
But it's so hard because you have the Parkland shooter, and then they did the investigation after the fact, but that was mainly what the police did wrong. The same thing in Uvalde. What happened afterwards. So I would just like to encourage everyone that's interested in finding out a third-party investigation that was totally separate, that did the investigation regarding how many steps were missed within this Board of Education, the school system. And from that, we could contact our legislatures, like the last lady was speaking about, even though we're not getting political, to say, hey, could y'all review this so you could see what happens in there and why we, have these situations where students aren't flagged and helped, and that everybody being made known about the resources available and something to happen immediately so children aren't shot in our classrooms in the United States. So thank you very, very much.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. We'll see you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Good stuff. Good stuff. That third-party investigation, a lot of times, I mean, if you work in the corporate world, if you work in the government world, a lot of times after what we call an exercise, after a practice, after a project is completed, you have like a lessons learned. You have you go back and you say, what can we learn from what happened and make better? Or what can we learn and say, let's not do that again. So good stuff. Phone call's not working. I'm not sure. 540. I'm getting call, 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 call. That's how fast they're coming in, and they're not ringing. They're just going straight to voicemail. I can't show you the screen because it's everybody's numbers, but it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how fast the calls are coming in. My phone can't handle it. I need to upgrade my phone, and that's going to be my homework to do that. Let's see. This happened after the parents did everything in their power.
Call from Melissa Ann.
Melissa, this is Scott. How are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, am I really talking to you?
In the flesh. How's it going? You made it through.
Oh my gosh.
You made it through.
I can't believe I made it through. No, and I've muted the TV because I hear you say that to everybody. So I can't hear. Yeah. Anyway, oh my gosh. Okay. So I am a first time caller, obviously, because I'm losing a little bit.
Well, thank you.
No, my thing is, and I've posted it in chat and over again, is the culpability of the school. And I think kind of backing up what the last caller said. But here we have a case in Newport News, which is, I'm actually personally close to one of the other first grade teachers.
Uh-huh.
A first grade teacher was shot.
By the 6-year-old.
And in her chest, almost died by a 6-year-old. The mother is being pled guilty to some of the charges, but it wasn't like manslaughter or having to do with.
It was possession of a firearm while on drugs or something like that. They weren't.
Yeah, she applied for a firearm, a concealed permit, and lied on her application, and then also something to do with the drugs or something else. Yeah, she's. But anyway, I personally know one of the other first grade teachers that is actually older. She's the lead teacher, and it's hit all of them really, really hard. And the thing was, the school was notified several times by several faculty, other teachers, that students were reporting that this kid had a gun and that he was telling people he had a gun. He showed people he had a gun. The school principal, vice principal, they were notified. Mm-hmm. And they did check and search his backpack, but they didn't pat him down at all or call a parent or anything. And this child had been in trouble. He had a history. He had a parent that had to sit with him, and he had a history. So, and they didn't do anything. And they actually, of course, the teacher that was hurt is suing and everything. They only want to give her workman's comp.
Oh, she's going to win that suit. She's going to win.
It's just horrible that they can't be criminally charged. That's the thing with this whole case here. I get the whole. I'm on board too with the setting a precedent. With all of that. But the thing that I just can't get past is that the school, I feel like, even if they're sued civilly, they have the unions. They're gonna be fine. It's just so upsetting that they're not being held accountable in some other larger way. And just like the previous caller said, we've been having these school shootings for so long. And kids would get expelled for making a Pop-Tart into what looked like a gun or something even smaller. But this kid had this math sheet and he wasn't suspended or expelled. They absolutely could have kept him from that classroom or kept him from going back regardless of what the parents wanted. Yeah. So that's mine. I guess I get it off my chest is that it's so infuriating.
Yeah. You wonder at the same time, we try to portion out blame, right? And I do think that in this case, the shooter had 100% of the blame. I don't think there was anything that would have negated his responsibility for his actions. I think he knew what he was doing. I think he planned it out.
Absolutely.
And so for me, he bears 100% of the blame. And now we're portioning out additional blame on other people, and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to also put 100% of the blame on the mom and 100% of the blame on the school. Look, why do we stop there? Why didn't we charge the person who sold the gun to the dad because she knew that it was for the son? How far can we spread that blame out? And
I get, but I completely agree. He's 100% responsible, but I think that the people we're talking, the school is responsible for keeping the other kids safe in the school. Mm-hmm. So that's where the problem is too. And I homeschooled my girls for most of their school career, and they have since graduated.
I have one that will be a nurse at the end of this year. So, and I'm not a perfect parent, and that's another thing I see in chat. And we do the best we can, and I am by no means perfect. So I feel like there's a lot of parent shaming or mine. It's just my daughter also. One of the reasons we homeschooled was we didn't find out through the school, but through my daughter. She had been threatened by some little boy that he was going to come to school with his gun and shoot her on a Friday, and he gave specific details. And then there was he also came up to her and like sexually comments and making, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but because I'm nervous, but the school did not notify us. We got it from my daughter. I had to call the school and like, what is going on? And of course, that's when we made a lot of different life choices with our schooling and the girls. But she was only in 3rd grade, by the way, which was also horrifying.
Yep.
I just had to get that out, and I'm like, gosh. But I'm going to have to replay all this and find it so my husband can hear.
Oh, wonderful. For a first-time caller, you're doing a great job.
By the way, he watches, by the way, and we both watch your podcast.
That is awesome. What part of the country are you from, if you mind sharing?
No, I actually, when this happened with the schools, my husband was retired Coast Guard, so we were stationed in upstate New York near Rochester.
Okay.
But I'm born and raised in Newport News, and I now live in Gloucester County across the water. I've actually met you back in June. I don't know if you remember me.
At the water park.
Yes.
Yes, I do. I've got a picture. Of you. Okay.
That was like my first celebrity sighting ever. Like, you have no idea.
That was my only sighting. You're the only person who's ever recognized me out in public. So.
And everybody I know, of course, thinks and I think my husband was just excited to watch
That's
this
awesome.
too. He just won't admit it. But everybody thinks I'm, all my family, my people, my girls, of course, they think I'm ridiculous, but anyway.
That's cool. No, that is cool. I appreciate you sharing all that. I appreciate that.
I'm so excited I got through. It's just now that I got that off my chest, I think I might feel better today, because I was really just like, yeah, no, everybody, the kid is absolutely responsible, and there's no telling why he did. I mean, there's a million, I can come, there's mental illness, there's all kinds of things that go on. I have my opinions and everything, but and I don't think they were great parents. I mean, obviously, in my opinion, by the way I live and my beliefs, obviously, I don't think they were. But the school was the one that let him go back to class, and that's just what I can't get past.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, and
great
to talk to you on the phone now that we've met in person
and
first.
Thank you to Mrs. R.A. because she really hit it on the nail too.
She's wonderful. I love her. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great day.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was the only time I've ever been cited out in public. And somebody said, "R.A." I'm like, I didn't know what to do.
Call from Tracy.
Hello, Tracy. This is Scott. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing just great. What's on your mind today?
I was just listening to your wife talk, and I thought about when my children were little. I accidentally pulled my son's elbow out because when they're little, they don't have the knob.
Mm-hmm.
So they put the elbow back in, and as he's walking out the door, he tripped over the sliding glass door track and bumped his head. So now, am I a bad parent?
Well, I think we're going to have to make a phone call. No, I hear that. It's scary. I've got a kid who jumped off the top bunk and broke his arm, and of course landing on the floor as he did, because when he jumped, his feet got caught on the little railing that's supposed to be there to prevent you from jumping. All right. Well, it just tripped him and made him land sort of head first and bang his head, break his arm, and so we go in there with a black and blue kid who's got a broken arm, and the doctor is looking at us like, really? We've got a code red, and send the police.
I mean, is there a different list for boys versus girls? Because my little one was like a disaster. Yeah. Put his arm through a sliding glass door. He tripped off of this, that, and the other thing. He was like, from the get-go, he was climbing out windows, up on furniture. So I don't know. How do you tell someone that you're not harming his children when he looks like he went through the ringer.
Yeah. I don't know.
So now does this tell us something else? That's the problem.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying, it's not the same. It's not the same. What we're talking about here is not the same as murder charges.
Yeah.
But my question is, why wouldn't it be treated the same? Where should we draw the line? Is it would he only charge the parents if it's a murder? What if it was an assault, but it didn't end in the death of the victim? And if the parent knew it was going to happen, or taught them how to fight, or where, I think it's not. It's not beyond reason to try to think this through and say what would be right. What is the limits of this doctrine, which the court has used here to find her guilty? Where does that end? How far does it go?
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, I'll let you go to keep an eye on your daughter. Make sure nothing happens. Wrap her in bubble wrap.
My kids are grown now, but thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. We'll see
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Call from Becky.
Good afternoon, Becky. How are you doing today?
Good. First time caller. How are you?
Becky, it's the first time I've ever answered your call, so I'm nervous as well. What's on your mind?
So I'm so distraught over this, being a parent of a teenager. I don't know what to make of it. I'm just flabbergasted. I totally thought that she would be found not guilty.
Can I ask some questions? For
Sure.
some insight. Where do you stand on firearm ownership? It's just as generally.
I have a gun and my concealed carry.
Okay. Do you think that your positions where it comes to the firearm ownership influence your view on the case at all?
It might, but I think the thing I'm more hung up on and more upset about is this has now set a precedent for parents to be held responsible for things that ultimately may not be in their control. I had typed, in the chat a little bit earlier, it's like saying I buy my 16-year-old daughter a vehicle and it's in my name and I allow her to drive it. Let's say she makes some poor choices down the road in life before she turns the age of 18, gets in an accident, God forbid, my daughter does not drink. However, you know what I mean? Say she had been drinking, killed someone. I'm going to be held responsible for involuntary manslaughter when I didn't even know that my daughter was out. You know what I mean? I just think it's opened a can of worms.
I don't think that'll be
that
that
may not
broad.
be able to be closed.
I think there would have to be some indicators. I mean, I don't think that just automatically the kids and all parents are going to jail every time a kid commits a crime. I don't think we're there. But here in this case, there was enough evidence that they thought, we can get a conviction here because it looks like the mom should have known or did know.
I really, they should have never been able to bring that journal in because that is hearsay. I don't think her attorney was and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I don't think she had the best representation. I think she got what she could afford, or she got what was familiar. You know what I mean? The first attorney she hooked her wagon to, she kept, which I don't think was a smart move. I don't think her attorney did her any service.
I was surprised many times by what Shannon did, but I've heard she's a great attorney, and I'm not sure if it just didn't work this time.
She seemed so flabbergasted, like through 90% of
and she seemed absolutely stunned by the verdict as well. If you watch the reaction there as well,
I was stunned. I kept sitting here at my desk saying she's got to be not guilty. She's got to be not guilty. I mean, I don't think they proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was responsible for what happened. Was she a distant parent? Possibly. Was she an absent parent, too busy doing other things to really have a grasp on things? Possibly. I didn't live in her house. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? They didn't live in her home. They don't know what she did and and things were taken out of context with the text messages, and when they
I had a hard time with
expanded
that.
and you saw, before and after, you realized that what the prosecution was saying was not necessarily the context of the text message.
Yeah. Clear your cache, right? That's
yeah. It's all so weird to me. I don't know. I don't know how to handle it. I'm distraught. I feel very invested.
I appreciate the call. I'm going to try to answer this message here. Thank you very much for the the answer. Even I'm also confused a little bit, but I appreciate that. All right, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You also.
Yep.
Bye.
Let me answer this and pause the phone for a little bit. Mrs. Bobby Smith says that scenario with the car is not the same. Yeah, if you let your child drive without a license, and I'm thinking this through, and I think it's. I want there to be another scenario, right? I want to be a scenario that doesn't involve firearms, so that I can compare apples to apples, and it is difficult to do, but I think it's important to show that nothing the Crumbleys did with the firearm and their son was illegal. This was not like giving a child keys without a license, because there's no license required to use a gun, and parents are allowed to let their kids shoot a gun under supervision. That's all allowed, and they didn't give him the gun to take to school. But nothing they did, from buying it and storing it for him and taking him shooting, nothing they did with the gun was illegal. So I see that there are some similarities, and I think that the car one is probably closer, just because it's owned by the parent. They have permission to use it. They're supposed to use it responsibly, but the difference is typically a firearm is used in the direct supervision of the parent, and obviously they shouldn't take it without the parent. It would be like the parent saying, "Yeah, you can drive this car, but only when I'm with you." Amber, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm present and accounted for. How are you?
About the same.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe. I'm not going to give my opinions because I'm just not. I want everybody in chat to take a deep breath all at once.
There's not enough air in the world where there's gonna be like a vacuum.
There are a lot of opinions in chat, and we all understand that. However, several of you have been timed out because you're getting too forceful. You're starting to really attack somebody else for an opposing opinion. Understand, there are a lot of strong feelings on this on both sides. Not everybody agrees with this verdict, which means that they're not necessarily going to agree with you. So I need everybody in chat to take a very deep breath in and let it out and come back with
I think it's important to remember that before this verdict came in, we were friends, and after the verdict came in, we're still friends. We can still disagree. We can be on different sides of the coin. I think the goal is altogether to have more understanding, even if we don't switch. I mean, I may not come around and say, the jury did get it right. And, tomorrow it's like, I've thought it over and now I'm on the jury's side. I may not ever get to that point, but I hope I have better understanding, later today, at the end of today, as I reflect on this, because of all the opinions that you've shared with me than I had when we started.
Right.
I think that in itself is a win.
And we can learn from everybody's perspective and point of view, just as you can learn from others' perspective and point of view. So just because it's a differing opinion than your own does not mean that somebody is wrong. We don't name call in this chat. Sorry, Scott, I'm giving the regular disclaimer because this is the issue. Just drop an argument. If mods say, please stop arguing, we're probably talking to you. Yeah. So let's still be friends, please. We can agree to disagree.
Yep. Thank you very much, Amber. And look at the forbearance. You didn't even share your opinion, which I'm sure you have a strong opinion on this. We won't go into that, but thank you. I appreciate
do. As somebody, and I shared this with you last time, as somebody that's been shot in the face with a 357 hollow point, this case hits really hard for me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are some that are so headstrong in their opinion that they can't stop and think outside of the box, outside of how they arrived at their opinion. And that's okay. My opinions, and just like everybody else's who are holding their tongue, will eventually come out when cooler heads prevail.
Yeah.
I think right now is such a very charged time where nobody can really thoroughly hear what somebody else is saying. So
thank you, Amber. I appreciate it. Thanks for the reminder on the
Not a
rules as
problem.
well. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good one. We'll see you. Amber's one of our great mods. I appreciate all the work she does helping the channel.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, this is Scott. I didn't hear who's calling. Who am I speaking with? Hello? Caller with a 310 area code. Can you hear me? Nope. Guess not. We'll move on. They had their chance.
Call
I tried.
Luann.
Luann, this is Scott. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you today?
I'm doing just great. What's your opinion on this today?
Okay, well, I don't even know where I stand. I'm so confused.
I appreciate the honesty. Let's talk it through and tell us your feelings on it.
Okay, so first of all, I saw you on FNF on Friday.
Yeah.
And the most scariest part of that talk was when you guys were talking about, the gun jamming and all that, right? Because I'm not a gun person.
Okay.
And I was just like, this is why we don't have guns, right? Because my husband used to have, like, shotguns for hunting. And once the kids started to crawl, I was like, I'm going to take these to the police station if you don't come take these out of my house.
Yeah.
So he had to take them out of the house. Like, and I have girls, so I wasn't, like boys would, when they got bigger. But, so that's where I am on that, because you guys seemed like responsible gun owners. And so I really think that, like, when the jury was stating, their verdict, the women were stronger with their, guilties, right? I think women judge other women harshly. And I think that, where they assassinated her character, they basically, I think that there was a lot of feeling in that courtroom for, about her parenting and having the affair and all that, right? But I also feel like, okay, so you can have kids and then them turn out great despite their parents, and also, or do you know what I mean?
Or because of them. In spite or because of. Yeah. They can go either way.
And so I do think that there was neglect, and especially like with her, when her boss was on the stand, and then like one of her texts literally said, "Don't judge me for what my child has done." So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if they were trying to escape or not. Maybe they, were just scared and ran away. But you left your child. They weren't, like, the father at the police, like, interview, he basically showed a little remorse, right? Where she just didn't come off good. Do you know what I'm saying? So law-wise, yeah, and my kids are grown. They're like, 35, 36. And so, but you know what? When they went off to college, I thought, and school shootings were really starting, I thought, you'd hate to have, you bring a kid up and then you send them off to the world and then things can happen to them. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, I think that Shannon gave up after she didn't, when you guys were talking about what, like Ian kept saying, and that's when you stand her to make her ruling, and she didn't, the judge. I think that she just gave up, and then because she was going to call other people, and then she just said, okay, we rest. So I also think that the judge, there was public pressure, right? And because, you've had other callers that say that,
most of the people who've called in from the area said there's a huge public pressure to convict here in the area. That's just what the locals are saying.
Yeah, and that's why the judge was like, it's not my decision. I'm not saying this. It's the law. And then, I don't know. I feel like that day Shannon gave up. And then the father, I don't know. He showed a little remorse. If I don't know. If there's that much pressure, but it's going to be a different jury. Like they said, it's a different judge, everything. So I don't know, because I watched the sentencing. I didn't watch the whole trial of the son, but he really came down when he sentenced him, the judge.
He did.
And also I saw like one of the girl, I guess she was shot somewhere in the back, and she has all these long-standing issues, and she can't do a lot now. She looks kind of Asian, I'm not sure, but it was the girl who got shot. She didn't die.
The
Sorry.
wounded. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we have to think about everything. I understand the chat freaking out, because I probably would if my kids were still 16, 17. But that's when you, like, if you're going to have a gun, that's as important a thing to deal with than, having that. Have a safe, lock it up.
Here's what I'll say. If we use the car analogy a little bit instead of the firearm, when you buy a car, it's not just driving safely that is your responsibility. Right. There's maintenance. There's storage. There's all these other things. There's proper fluids and you replace the belts and check the tires and safety tests and there's all this involved with the car that just comes along with car ownership. At the same time, I'm not a huge fan of the government requiring me to make sure my car is safe. I want everyone to do it on their own. I just don't like the government being the one that leads that. And I don't think the government should lead that in parenting, making sure I'm going to make sure you've taken your baby to the well baby checkup, and I'm going to make sure you've given it all the appropriate shots. I'm going to make sure that you're doing XYZ with parenting, I don't want the government saying I'm going to make sure you have a gun safe if you're going to have a firearm in the home, and we're going to come and check and make sure that you have. I don't like it. I think that
I don't think that they proved it. I don't think that legally that they proved it. I think they, the prosecution played on the emotions, and Shannon's closing was really good. But I feel like Jennifer didn't come off as like she should have threw herself on the mercy of the court. She should have said, I'm sorry for my son. She should have took some responsibility. Instead, she was trying to, like what you're saying, like you can't, if you say, I'm sorry, there's got to be a way of saying I'm sorry or showing that she's sorry without, saying I'm guilty. Yeah. But I don't know. There's no middle ground in this case. There's no middle ground. And then another analogy as opposed to a car, what if your son or, was into watching things that we can't say on Pizza. TV, and then he goes off and he does something to someone else. Begins with an R, right? Are you now held responsible for something like that? So, I don't know where this is going to go.
That's one that's
maybe they're gonna
based on YouTube's terms of service. It's hard to even have that conversation here with all the code words we'd have to use to make that happen. But appreciate the call. Thank you for all the insights and the questions. Appreciate the adding to the conversation. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Call from
Melissa P.
Melissa P. How are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, actually, I'm calling. I wasn't going to call in today, but my hands have stopped working. I'm having a bad neurological day, so that's why I'm calling.
I'm so sorry.
But I know I've been in the minority on this with a few people, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I just wanted to point out something. I know I'm going to get filleted in the chat for this, but unfortunately, although I have to leave chat because my hands aren't working, but if you purchase a firearm for someone who is legally ineligible to own one and they commit a crime, you are legally liable for it. I understand they keep bringing up a gift, but I know there was some evidence that he gave the cash to the father to buy the gun. But my thing is I'm just stuck on I believe in the Second Amendment. We own firearms. We have a gun safe. My son, when he has children, I know they will be shooting from a young age. But after talking to him, I also know that when they are not shooting, he will lock them up. And that's what I'm stuck on. And so, and I know it keeps being said, and I know people are frustrated, but we are 25 years out from Columbine. That was a freak, like, oh my gosh, this was the first. And now 25 years later, it's happening on almost a biweekly basis. I just need parents to be present. And I understand the government, and I'm for parental rights, and I don't want the government running into my home, and I get that. But I do believe that if she had taken, even called a therapist or a psychiatrist or anything when she left that school, I might have gone to not guilty. And so that's just where I'm stuck. Is I feel like the school did fail. They should not have let him stay there, but they didn't know he had access to a firearm. Had they had all the information, it might have changed, it might not, but we can't expect schools to raise our kids. Yeah. So I know it's an unpopular opinion, but that's just where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the access to the firearm isn't illegal, which is tough. No, it's not. But he hasn't been diagnosed with a mental illness that might make that a legal problem.
But there was always going to be a first case. There was always going to be a first case.
And this isn't the first. This isn't the first. There have been others.
Not even in a school shooting?
This is the first in a school shooting. But
that's what I'm saying. There was always going to be a first.
Yeah. So, interesting. Melissa, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for being in the minority and sharing your opinion. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I love you and the mods and everyone. I just thank you. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Sue Crandall says, I drive on roads our taxes pay for. I want the government to make sure other people on a road have working brakes and decent tires. Some states do not have vehicle inspections. Other states do. It's up to the state. So, and the way the federal law works, I can have a car registered in a state that doesn't have an inspection and drive it in a state that does and still be legal. So, interesting little note there. I think, as a matter of fact, some states have actually gone away. I think Utah went away from one of the inspections, the safety inspection. I don't know. I think that's a couple states have gone away from that just recently and stopped doing those inspections. Alabama does not have car inspections. What on earth is a vehicle inspection, says Ivan Victor. Ivan, I think what it is for you is you just make sure that when you push the gas, it goes and you're good. That's it. Okay, my phone's doing the thing where it hangs up on all the callers. I apologize. I wish I could fix it. Rebooted it. Let's see. Okay, I'm 1, 2, 3. Okay, the calls have slowed down a little bit. So 4, 5, 6, 7. The calls are coming in so fast the phone just won't ring. I got 3 more right there. I don't know. Missed calls. It's just cycling missed calls for me. Let's see. We have Tennessee stopped 2 years ago, says Big Mike via text. Thank you. Call failed. They're coming in too fast for the phone to work. You guys, we've broken the burner phone. Nems girl, I know you've been calling a million times. It seems that every time you've been missed on that one. I apologize. It's not by intention. I'm not listening for a certain person or not. But I see your call on here. Justice was served. Let me see if I can read some messages. That might be a little bit easier. Justice was served. It's not a conviction on parenting. It was a conviction on a specific actions not taken to prevent murder, not locking gun sufficiently, not looking in backpack, and not taking child home. Scott, you need to have someone on who agrees with the verdict. It's really aggravating. I feel like I could better explain this verdict. Let's see. We'll see if we can get somebody that can agree with us here, if the phone will let us. Let's see, Gwen from Australia was trying to call, saying, I find this terrifying. I understand how this could be found civilly liable, but I'm in shock. The whole trial was littered with oddities. I wonder if there could be a guilty verdict if the notebook didn't come in. I honestly think that the strongest argument for an appeal is the fact that the notebook parts came in from the state and that they didn't from defense. The only downside to that is defense sort of withdrew their effort to try to admit them. But so I'm not sure if they've preserved the record for the appeal there. I need to change my handle to unpopular opinion because that's the way it's gone for the last couple of trials, says rejected juror. Where's your uncle? I think he's getting some rest. He's still on the mend. He's trying to get all better. Robin, we might have a trial that starts here just in a little bit. I'd say if you want to watch a new trial, it will be starting here in the next day or so. I know that tomorrow afternoon I have to go to the bank and sign some paperwork. So I know that whatever happens,
Katie,
I'll have to take some time off. Hey, this is Scott. How are you doing, Katie?
good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hey, I sent that message about justice having been served.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the way I see this. This was not about parenting, and I don't think it is about the government reaching in to try and tell people how to parent. I think it was about very specific actions that could have been taken to prevent this and weren't. I mean, I just think it's that simple. The day before this happened, he was looking up ammo, and in the text to her son, she said, "Don't get caught." And you didn't show him the gun, did you? That's really concerning to me. Yeah. And then the day of, he was there. You saw the pictures. You didn't ask about the gun. You didn't go home to look for the gun, either parent. And then you let him stay in school. So to me, I think I understand the anxiety of everybody about this, but honestly, that's not what this was about. This was about, could it have been prevented? And I think the answer to that is yes. And I this is just my personal opinion, so I'm not trying to, increase anybody's anxiety about this, because I don't think it's about anybody wanting to tell people how to parent.
I agree. It could have been prevented. I 100% agree. I don't know if anything the state suggested in that final, in their closing of giving him a hug or anything, I don't know that any of those would have prevented it.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the way the state presented this whole case, to be honest with you. I think there was a lot of ridiculous information brought in that wasn't about what it is about. And I think that's part of the problem here. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't like the way they prosecuted this, but I do think justice was served, because I think those two parents in that situation had the responsibility to look into the fact that they had a fight with the child the night before. I mean, there's so many factors here that red flags should have gone up, and it could have been prevented. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Tina says, "Caller, say it louder." Say it louder. Okay. No, I appreciate it.
Can I say one other thing,
yeah,
Scott?
please
one
do.
other thing on the car analogy. You know, even if your child is throwing a ball around and you breaks the neighbor's window, as a parent, you're responsible. You're going to go get that window fixed. If your child has an accident in a car and is on your insurance, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Is there that much of a difference in what we're talking about here? The stakes were so much higher. We're talking about lives. I hope this doesn't turn into a 60-year penalty for this woman. But I do believe that we saw justice today for the issue that was on the table. So I'll be quiet now. Thank you for taking my question.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna try to connect with Dr. G here, if that's all right. To have him.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Let me see if I can reach out to Dr. G really quickly and see. He said he had texted and tried to connect it. He was just getting busy signals. I'd love to get his take. Hello, is this Dr. G?
Right. Hello.
Hey, this is Scott. How are you doing?
I'm great.
I saw you in chat. First of all, thanks for popping in. We saw you did a little bit of a video on Jennifer Crumbley, I believe.
Yes, I did.
And I'll just let you talk for a minute. For those that don't know, this is Dr. G from Dr. G Explains, a great friend of the channel, a clinical psychologist, and I always say this wrong, behavioral analysis. You can say it better than I say it.
Well, the long and short, I'm a clinical and a forensic psychologist, but I've personally had a lot of feelings about this trial. This has been a tough one, right? Because my concern has always been that it would become more of a Second Amendment issue, which is never how I've seen it. I've always seen that the meeting that was done with the parents, that was negligent, that they did not intervene right after that. As a psychologist, if I had had a meeting like that and I did not call to get that person hospitalized, I would be arrested. In Georgia, that's what happens if I hear of like certain types of abuse or I don't follow up.
It's a mandated reporter situation, right?
Yeah, it's a mandated reporter. And I understand parents aren't mandated reporters, but there's a point where, in my mind, it becomes negligent that a parent is, that it's so clear that somebody is a danger. It's not a gun issue as much as it is. It is almost impossibly negligent as far as how I saw it in those moments. So it had less to do with whether it was a gun or a knife or any sort of weapon. It was just that he was such a clear danger and nothing was done. So just that fact alone, outside of everything else, is why, for me, I felt like the verdict was just.
Yeah, I admit I don't see everything. I haven't seen anything. I feel like I don't have the complete picture. Like I feel like I'm one of the parties. I might be part school or part parent, but I didn't. Yeah. I don't have everything. But I find it hard to believe that the shooter could have got to the point where he did with the journals, with all the other behavior that we know that happened that wasn't brought into court, and not shown the signs. Right. Not been, something came up on the radar. Yes, I agree. The way the parents responded when they got that message, they're like, emergency. It seems like there was a sign somewhere they must have seen, because that's not a normal parent reaction to, oh, your son drew a picture, we need to talk about it at the school. And they're like, emergency, quick, get down there.
Yeah.
There's something else.
There is. I mean, I don't think it's possible that they didn't have more reasonable parental instincts to say, there's some really bad stuff going on, but just like I said, just that meeting alone, the picture with blood everywhere and all that stuff. I mean, it's to me, it's no different than if a kid is getting ready to get behind the wheel of a car and they just drank a handle of vodka and they're barely conscious and they're going to get into an accident. And you go, well, and just walk away. Like, to me, that would be an unusual scenario, but one that is so obvious something bad is going to happen that it would be questionable why an adult that should have more control did nothing in that situation. So it's and I tend to be pretty neutral with this stuff, and I am when I do my videos and when I observe, but I do feel a lot with this one. I was in high school when Columbine happened, and that had a profound effect on me at that time.
You're just a young one. You're just a kid.
You're right. Yeah. So it was so seeing this, it's hard for me to not feel when I see these stories about school shootings and when I see irresponsible parents that could have done more. I mean, I do think there's situations where parents truly couldn't have done anything and didn't know. This is not one of those cases.
Yeah. How do you feel about the slippery slope argument? Or do you see that there's any concern there, or is this like a?
I mean, I understand the argument, but we have to draw, in my opinion, we have to draw a line somewhere with it. Like I said, to me, it's not a gun issue at all. It's a danger issue. This was a dangerous kid, and the parents knew he was dangerous. Like I said, if it had been a knife or if he smashed another kid with a chair and harmed him, whatever it was, like, they were responsible to have stopped that from happening, in my opinion. So it's the gun is the obvious tool, but I think that I don't think this is as slippery a slope as some people might feel like it is. But I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think it is, really. This is a grossly negligent case.
So let me ask you this. There was a lot of behavior to analyze in this trial. Do you have any plans of maybe looking at, defense attorneys' behavior? Because we got a lot of that to analyze. It doesn't take an expert sometimes to see what she was doing. But anything else you want to look at this trial particularly, or anything else you have your eye on?
Probably. That's a good question. I'm definitely going to do some analysis of the guilty verdict. I'm going to do that today, actually, hopefully. Okay. I'm going to look back and show some of the body language, why I think the jury found some of the things that she said unbelievable. I probably won't talk so much about the attorney, because attorneys tend to get a little bit angry when I do that. So I tend to let them slide, but I do understand there's a lot there.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to see it. We'll put a link to your channel in chat. Your channel has exploded. It's huge. I don't know where you're at right now. What's your benchmark?
I'm at 134K right now for for subscribers. So
yeah, and it's been what, 2 short months? No, it seems like just yesterday it's just exploded. Congratulations on that. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Look forward to that. And as always, we'll have to do something again together. I always love having you on the show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you, Dr. G.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Dr. G is a great friend of the channel here. Evelyn says, in my opinion, the school had a duty to ask parents about access to firearms and a duty to safety plan with those parents for them to immediately secure the firearms. That's interesting. There's a lot of... I'm not sure how I feel about the duty to ask. Beautiful Messy Ball, you've been super, super patient. I saw your text as well. Welcome. You made it through.
I finally got through.
Oh, what are you thinking?
I have so much to say.
I'm going to have to limit you to one comment. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
God, I can't just
start,
one comment.
Just start now. Let's see what we can get through.
But, okay, so as we all know where I stand on this. Well, I think everyone does. Most of the people have been here from the beginning. I'm in favor of the prosecution, and I think the jury got it right, and I think it's about a culmination of the gross neglect. And I think that parents who truly parent their kids, first, I think that a lot of the people who are upset are parents, and who disagree with the verdict are parents. And I understand that. And I understand those of us who don't have kids can't fully understand what it's like to have kids and raise kids. Mm-hmm. That said, as a former educator, I have a different perspective on kids, and I've spent a lot of time with kids. Yes, I know it's not the same. But, all right, my thought just ran away. I'm trying to be quick. When I try to be quick, that's when I lose my thoughts. So I think the jury got it right, because I think the parents who are good parents and who truly parent their kids don't have anything to worry about, because their parenting shows. I don't think the parenting showed in this case. I think that if they were truly parenting their kid, and yeah, playing board games once in a while, taking him with his friend on vacation, doesn't necessarily show that they parented. I think
there's an argument out there to counter that would say, what about police being able to just, come into your house and just to check to make sure everything's fine? And some might say, well, if you aren't doing anything wrong, you shouldn't have anything to hide, right? But there's another part out there that we have a lot of strong feelings about our freedoms in the United States, and we might say, even if I'm not doing anything wrong, they don't have any right to come in. I want to be secure and free from that government oppression. So
right, and I agree with you there, and I'm 100% pro freedom and not for government overreach. And I don't think that law enforcement should be able to just come into your home and tell you when to parent. But if something happens and it's proven you're not parenting at all, or parenting to an ability where your kid is understanding right from wrong and hurting people, then you should be held responsible. And then on that note, I keep seeing people in chat saying, but didn't she work 60 hours a week? Not for nothing. My dad ran his own business when I was a kid and worked 80 hours a week. My mom, for the most part, was completely, and I don't want to badmouth my mom on national media.
Don't do that. Your mom's wonder, an angel, right? She's an angel. Say hello to her.
She, in a lot of ways, was absent, and I'll just leave it at that. Until this day, at me being 46 years old, she still does not get me, and I struggled with mental health issues. And it was my dad, who worked 80 hours a week, that picked up on it and spent the time with me and made me get help. And I fought it for many, many years. And, I think I turned out all right. And, he spent time with me, got me into activities, and made sure that I was doing things and active and not wallowing in my depression. And that's what it means to be a parent. And we had family dinners.
Can I ask you, we've got to wrap this up here.
Yes.
Can I ask you a quick question? Do you think that the school has any culpability in this case?
I do. And I believe I've said that in other conversations where, because I was an educator in both private self-contained special ed school and public school. And
do you think they should be held criminally? I mean, I realize they can't be, but do you think
criminally? No, I don't think they're criminally responsible. Are they civilly responsible? Yes. And like Dr. G was saying, I don't. They are mandated reporters, so maybe they are criminally responsible for not reporting. But then again, they didn't have all the information that the parents had.
If that's the case, that's the only crime that was committed here by somebody other than the student. Have you thought of that?
Disagree.
What other crime? What other crime?
Gross neglect, which is how they got to involuntary manslaughter. And I still think that the parents should have been charged with.
I have to agree with you because they've been found guilty, and we accept the verdict of the jury. But
and I think that it was strategic not to charge with neglect as well as involuntary manslaughter, because I think that would have there may have been some jurors that said, well, I'm not sure if it was grossly negligent to the point of manslaughter, but it was definitely negligent. Yeah. And they may have split the baby.
Yeah.
So
you've been listening to the lawyer,
No, well, I listen to him from time to time, but I didn't hear him say that, actually.
Okay. I think he said that yesterday. Beautiful Messy Ball. Thank you so much. Appreciate the call. We've got a lot of other calls coming in. I've got to let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the time.
Good talking to you.
And thank you for all of this.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Appreciate that. Okay, we're trying to answer every single call.
From Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, hello. This is Scott.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing just great.
Listen, I have hopefully a really quick comment. So this was my analogy regarding the vehicle situation. You have a 15-year-old, and they're getting ready to start driver's ed. Mm-hmm. You decide to take them to an open lot, teach them how to drive. They feel pretty confident, but they have some emotional issues. Maybe they feel mistreated at school, whatever. They draw pictures of car accidents. They play video games that involve cars. They've been playing with cars since a little kid. And maybe they were violent when they were little kids. I have a 3-year-old grandson.
They crashed their Hot Wheels.
Yeah. So then you come home one night after work. You put your keys on the counter. You don't lock them up. You probably could, but you don't. And you go up to bed. And your teenager decides to take your car. And not get into a drunk driving accident, but decides to mow people down because he's angry. And maybe you weren't aware of it. Are you then culpable or responsible for what your kid did?
There are a couple of things in here that I would say yes to. You put some indicators about people drawing accidents and emotional problems. I think you do need to get your kids help if there are things wrong. I don't think we can just say that.
Well,
everything
I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying don't get them help. I'm saying maybe you're aware, maybe you have gotten them help, maybe you've talked to them, but then you take your keys at the end of your day and you don't lock them up. Are you wrong for not locking up your keys because you taught your kid in a parking lot how to maybe make a 3-point turn or something? Preparing them for driving school, because I'm trying to.
I know a lot of people are saying that's not the same, but if you look at just by the numbers, more people die by car accidents than by guns.
Right, and that's a car accident too. But I'm talking about using the car as a
weapon.
As a weapon,
and that's much more rare. I would say much more.
But it
rare.
could happen. I mean, Daryl Brooks did it.
We see, but it's equally it's rare. Like it's like It's lightning out of a volcano. I don't know. It's a rare occurrence that you just don't see very often.
Well, I think also you don't see this situation very often. It's too often.
Yeah, once is too much.
Where do you? I guess my question is, where do you draw the line? As a parent, should you be putting your keys in a lockbox at night because you maybe have an emotionally challenged child, and in order to make them feel better, you know how much they love cars. You decided to, take them out, teach them how to drive. It's not the same as a gun, but then again, it is because both are weapons. Where do you say, okay, this is what I agree with you. The court made it, or the jury made a decision. We have to respect that. But what does it say? I mean, where does it end? Where do you say, okay, I can't leave this out, or I can't leave, say your child is, wants to hurt themselves. Do you have to then lock up all your medication? Well, maybe that's a good idea. But I'm just saying, in general, where do you say, I've got to lock up everything because my kid could possibly take my car when I fall asleep tonight?
Yeah. I don't know. It's so difficult to use an analogy.
Call from.
I'm sorry. I just hung up on you. Let me answer the question before we take another one. It's so difficult to use an analogy because we have all sorts of information from this case, and we're trying to make a hypothetical that fits it. And I haven't found another one. I haven't found an apples to apple comparison.
Call from Maryland.
I apologize for hanging up on you.
To
by the way,
accept, press 1.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Hello, this is Scott. Who's Marilyn? Is that you? Marilyn, you're going to need to turn your volume down.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do you remember, Geraldo Rivera's, his whole, claimed fame was when he went into these institutions where parents just, dumped their kids?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, that used to be, a thing where parents would just, dump their kids, their problem children, into institutions, whatever it was. So I'm we've come so far as this, the society where we're not doing that anymore, but, we're taking responsibility,
Yeah. I don't know. So you're in favor of the verdict, taking responsibility?
No.
No?
No. I think this, the verdict will send more people on the other side of just throwing their kids away, like they did in back in the 20s or 30s. They'll just throw their kids away.
I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not. That's
yeah, Geraldo Rivera did this whole thing, and it everybody institutionalized their kids
to try to get rid of the responsibility.
Yep, they were Down syndrome and all kinds of stuff, and they would just throw their kids, put them in institutions, and I can't deal with that. I think as a society we've really come way above that, and I just feel it's oh man, really?
Yeah, that makes me very upset inside of that idea. I was a peer tutor to one of the most amazing kids I've ever met in my life who had Down syndrome when I was in junior high. His name was James, and these kids are special.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, and yeah, it's a challenge. They're a challenge sometimes, and a handful, and they think differently, they act differently, but man, yeah, no.
Yeah, if your viewers ever want to see it, it was Geraldo Rivera, and he went in undercover, probably his famed, his claimed fame, where he went and did that, and we shut down all the institutions, and we decided as a community that that's not acceptable. And we've come a long way, but now what are we doing? Now like, what are we doing, as like a society where we're just going to throw our kids away again? No. Yeah.
No, that's
they're
parenting.
talented.
Parenting's a long-term duty, and it doesn't. It's not something you can opt out of. I think that's. You sign up. You sign in for the long term. Thank you so much
do.
for the call. Appreciate
Good,
it.
bad, or ugly, right?
Yep.
You do it.
Thank you so much. We'll catch you later. All right. Bye. All right, we're gonna dial this down here because I've got so much to think about. I'm not sure my brain can hold anymore. I appreciate lawn care guy's been trying so hard to get through. Hang on one second.
Call from
The lawn care guy.
Hey, G4, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome. This is G4 Outdoors.
My ears are still hot. My ears are still hot because my blood pressure's up over this.
Yeah.
But we'll let that go. I've asked the question since day one, and it's been neglected, and I don't know why. You can make your answer as short or as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
When they were showing the school incident, are jurors required to watch such a gruesome deal? Because in my opinion, the human psyche is not designed to watch that much evil. I'm just wondering if that's a lawful law that you're required to watch.
I don't think they can be required to watch. I don't know how they could. If they don't want to watch, they might be dismissed. But I imagine in voir dire, that might be covered a little bit. The question would be asked and said, hey, there's going to be this. If anyone has a problem with that, they might raise it a concern. There might be some difficult things to look at. But I don't know how the judge could require them. I mean, toothpicks in the eyes, you can't blink. You have to look at the screen. I don't see that. No.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to go buy a toy, throw some lead down range, and I'll see you on the next case.
G4, thank you. Appreciate your opinion. We'll catch you later, man.
Have a great day.
Bye. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Evelyn says, I work with teens and kids in mental health crisis, and I assure you that kids still get dumped every day in emergency hospitals, psych hospitals, and detention centers. Sad, but true. Evelyn, that breaks my heart. It really does. I understand. I think the one situation where I'm most sympathetic to a child getting dumped is where you have a young mother that's not able to care for it, and they use one of the no questions asked, like a fire department. They're able to drop their child off at the fire department where they can get care, where the mom just says, I can't for whatever reason. I can't. And I think it's done to save the child when a mom is not able to cope or provide in that way. I see that, and I'm sympathetic there. But the others, when I have a harder time being sympathetic, and maybe the situation would be different. But Saints Girl says, MI's IVMS. I've created a situation where the risk of great bodily harm or death was very high. I'm not sure I followed that one, Saints Girl. There might have been another chat somewhere that I missed on that. Let's see. We've got one more call that's been, I think they've been trying very hard as well to get through. I recognize the number.
Call from
Cynthia.
To accept.
Hello, Cynthia. Is it Cynthia?
Hello. Yes, it is.
Cynthia, what's on your mind today?
This kind of the repercussions of this kind of gives me a different look, because being an adopted child, like in the Take Care of Maya case, we found there were a couple of people later on that used that case as a reason why they didn't want to be a juror for what happened to juror number one. Mm-hmm. So I'm worried that people that would consider adopting kids that are higher risk or older children that are, not babies, which was what my case was. I was adopted out of foster care. Mm-hmm. They may reconsider that, knowing that they could be held criminally liable for something that child does. Man. And that this may have a repercussion that we don't see onto adopting of higher risk kids that are in foster care. And that's just, and it has nothing to do with the law, but I think because they really didn't have a lot on her, it was more like, we've got this little bit, but you're a bad mom, we think. That it just worries me, because
being an adopted child that you're just going down that rabbit hole of making people terrified to do it.
You do have a very valid point, and a lot of people are saying that in chat. You've got there's a huge need. There's a huge need for older children to be adopted. We're not talking adults. We're talking teenage type, preteen and older teens to be adopted in the United States. It's out there. There's a lot of kids who are desperately needing a family. If you adopt a child, odds are it comes with some baggage of some sort. An adoption, it's you're buying into the child and everything the child needs and the child's background and working with them. And if there's a concern that you could be held liable if they act out, that could be what do they call that? A chilling effect on people wanting to serve in that way or to help a kid out. Man.
And it's just it's a unforeseeable side effect of things like this happening, because you can't control everything your kids do. I mean, the whole time I was thinking the case that was how many of us went an underage drink, had sex, smoked, or did other things that our parents never knew about as children of the 80s growing up, where you were told not to come home till the streetlights came on.
I never did anything wrong growing up as a kid. I was the perfect child, as I tell my children every day. It's interesting. I don't know. I need to think this through. I don't know. It's Cynthia, right?
It was just one of those. Yes, it was just one of those I wanted to put out because I was started to be adopted, and then the state was going to say that I couldn't be adopted, which would have put me back into the system at age 4 when my first adoption started at age 2, and then they agreed to let the adoption go through, thank God, because I had wonderful parents. But, once you're over the age of 2, you're considered to be hard to place, believe it or not. Yeah. And teenagers, just imagine that on top of a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Cynthia,
thank you.
And it's just, scary. But thank you so much. I'd love to listening to your coverage.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for the call.
Okay.
Bye. Let me address this one. Jay Reno says, I use the analogy as a bank robbery. Both parents attended a robbery. EC used the weapon, and the school was a getaway driver. All are guilty in my view. Jay Reno, I see this. This is called the principal rule, and we saw this in the Treehouse murder, where Tyrone Tucker was charged as being with this crime, going along with it, or being part of it, even though he wasn't the person that stabbed the victim. He can be charged with murder in that case. There has to be some proof that they knew that the end result could end like this, right? They didn't necessarily have to know it would be that someone was going to end up dying, but they had to know that this could be a very likely result. And I have a hard time thinking that the parents thought that. I have a hard time seeing that. That's my hang up on that one. But great point. I appreciate that. Elliot Jan says, I just wanted to add something. I've struggled with mental health since grade school and still to this day, late 30s. I have difficulty expressing the gravity of it all. It's all about parents being informed and present. I think this right here, the present, I'm sorry, and I'll make it so you can see this. I think present is almost more important than informed, because present leads to being informed. Present in their life means that when things change, when their mood changes, you notice it because you're there and you see it. There are no perfect parents out here, and I'm not saying I am one, right? I say I am, but I'm not. I'm not a perfect parent. But just being present and being there for the kids, I think, is huge. And it will put you in a position where if there is something that does go wrong, that things turn bad or there's a bad situation, being present with your kid will make it so that you will be able to either sense it or see some of the warning signs, because so few of these problems where we have kids that act out and harm others happen in a bubble where nobody knew. Kids just don't operate that way. All right, I think I've got a call from the UK. Let's see.
Okay.
Hey, this is Scott. I missed who the name was. Who am I speaking with? No. You hang up. You thought it was the voicemail. You thought it was voicemail, and it was me. It was really me. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up for the day, if that's all right. We're just approaching 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're a little bit early. I realize there's a lot of you that still have ideas to share. The text messages are open. I'd love to continue reading and listening. I'm not sure if I can respond to all of them. I have so many messages, and thank you for those, but I appreciate it. I think we're going to wrap up today. We have, I've got to do some homework on the upcoming cases. I think we've got one in Tennessee that's coming up that we're looking at. Obviously, Ayden Montgomery is coming up. That's a tough one, so I'm not sure if we can go there. They're in jury selection right now, and that's going to be difficult. Mag says, I could not agree more with Scott about presence. I say that, but I'm locked in my room all day long. I need to do a better job with my own kids. Although they have poked in and out throughout the day watching me. Getting your kid to be present with you is job enough, says Rudy Patootie. It's difficult. It's difficult. I'll say this. It's especially difficult if you're making a change in how you're parenting to make it so that that's something you want to start doing. It's tough to make that transition. But... all right, let's have a fun day tomorrow, says Vivian. Lots of people want to see the Ayden Montgomery trial, says Ashley. My parents are amazing, gave me every opportunity, but I was still problematic, says Pori. It seems like we need to put programs in schools explaining what accountability means from 6th grade up, since so many are absent parents. Let's see, Rebus's kitten says there are no winners in this situation. I'm just relieved that in the UK there is prohibitive pew-pew control. I brought this up before, Rebus. I realized the numbers of shootings, school shootings, it's been like zero since, a long time ago in the UK. But the number of daylight robberies and knife attacks, violent knife attacks, has gone through the roof. So I realized that it stopped one type of crime, but it hasn't stopped the crime. And the assaults and are now, I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Fun and funky. Sorry. I realized. I think you were trying to call. I saw the number there. Holly Max says your children know where you are, and you are very present for them. Oh, thank you. Kind words, Holly. They do know where I am. They know where the cat is, and they think I need to pet it. I have to be present in all 6 places at once. I will. Speaking of children, there's one of mine right now. Since 1996, says Rona, no school shootings in the UK. Okay. Let's see. What time tomorrow? We're going to start at the same time, probably 8:30 tomorrow, and I'll see if we can have an update on the case from then. We'll see where we're going. I've got to chat with the mods, and here's the truth. This case has been very, very difficult for the mods. I realize it's hard for our community because the topics are so strong. This case is very hard for the mods. They have been working like crazy, and I don't want them to quit. I really don't. So part of my decision on what case we handle next is going to be based on their input on the workload. So yes, incredibly difficult for the mods. I need to keep them in mind here. I'm so grateful. Honestly, the moderators on this channel, they do so much more than just delete comments. But a lot of their work, they're handling the worst part of the conversation. There are people that come in and just throw garbage into chat, and it doesn't appear on your screen. You don't see it. Trust me. The filter sorts it out, but the mods have to go through that. And so even though the chat for you looks very nice and happy, there are people out there that just say things that these people shouldn't have keyboards. Okay, I appreciate the mods for all the great work they do here. I could not do this without them. Thank you very much. Let's see. I don't know. I'm going to check here and see if there's somebody we need to raid here. If you guys have any suggestions, now's the moment. Let's see. Let's see. We've got Grizzly True Crime is up. I think we raided Grizzly in quite a while. Do you guys want to go check out Grizzly? I think she's scheduled. I think she just started about an hour ago, so I think we're early. We're gonna go hang out with the grizzly bears. That would be wonderful. Here's what I would ask tonight: when you land over there, please click the like button. Even if you don't want to stay, even if it's not the style of thing you're interested in, just say a kind word, say hi, click the like button, do that for them, and that'd be great. So we'll send you over to Grizzly True Crime. She is talking about the Delphi drama. And she's got Bob Mata on as well, legal expert. So it's a twofer. You get a twofer over there. Go Grizzlies, yeah. All right, we'll do that. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the morning. Thank you all. Please be kind to Grizzly True Crime and click the like button when you get there. If you are new here and you haven't before, please click the subscribe button before you go out the door. We'd love to have you back. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. We'd love to have you back tomorrow as well. Thank you all. I appreciate all the calls. Thank you for sharing your opinions. Thanks for helping me understand things a little bit better. I've got a lot to learn, and I appreciate your informed opinions. You guys be good to each other. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.